Welcome back, everybody, to yet another episode of Followers by Design. Now, I'll have you know, we weren't always called Followers by Design. We had a few names beforehand. We took months trying to hone in and figure out the name. I have a few names that I came up with that Danny didn't like.
Yes.
And I want you to go into the comments
There's a
and
lot
shame Danny for the fact that we don't have these great names.
There's
First of all-
wait. There's a lot of names you showed me that I didn't like.
That is correct. That is correct.
A lot of them.
I'm going to share some, and you're going to get publicly shamed because
Oh,
I
no.
had some great ideas.
People will understand why I didn't like.
No, first of all, podcast, schmodcast. I think it rolls off the tongue. It sounds great. It feels great saying it.
them. I don't
Really
know.
conveys a message. My personal favorite, the podcast. Think about it. We are the podcast. But, Followers by Design is pretty cool.
Please roast them in the comments.
Don't do that. Roast him. Roll the intro.
Roll the intro.
Today, we're talking about service.
Yes.
Specifically, well, I guess not specifically service in the church, just service in general.
Not
What-
phone service though.
Not phone service.
Yes.
Serving the Lord
Yes.
and his people and his church. So we're going to talk about what is service. Again, not cell phone service, but the other service. Why do we serve? And how do we serve?
Yes.
3 things. Let's get into it. How do you define service in this biblical context?
Honestly, service is anything that is glorifying God and doing His works. I feel like that is service simplified, if you want to look at it that way. What about you?
It's something that you do for others, for the Lord. Right.
Yeah.
I mean, there's so many examples of it, right? Helping someone move, volunteering your time at church in different ministries, whatever it may be. I guess those are the more common ones, but there's a lot more that we don't think of
Yeah.
as service, but they definitely are. But the important thing to note is just like any of these spiritual disciplines, it's about your heart, right? It's about how you're doing it how you're doing it and why you're doing it is more important than what you're doing.
And also, I want to read a quote that I found about service and what is service.
Mm-hmm.
I don't remember who said it specifically, but it stood out to me, so I got it prepared because I really want to read it. It
If
said,
if you said this, let us know so we can give you credit.
yes, 100%. It says, service is quite simple. Similar to other spiritual disciplines, is not the what, it's the why. Service is simply doing a service for the glory of God. You can serve with time, strength, money, wisdom / knowledge, etc.
You really set me up for that, didn't you?
Yes.
Dang it. That's what I wrote. That's what I said.
I
I
know.
said that. Oh, man, I was getting ready for some wisdom. I was like, I wonder what he's gonna say.
I wanted to be funny about that.
Oh, that's funny. Okay. Well, that's what I think about service because that's exactly what I wrote down verbatim. That's the problem with having shared notes. You can just steal my stuff.
No, I normally I never steal Michael's notes, but I just wanted to be funny today about that one.
This episode is gonna be whack because it is 11 o'clock at night and we're hyped up on sugar and caffeine. Anywho, so I think service is fairly simply defined as that, and
Yeah.
it can be similar to worship. It is so much more broad. When you think of worship, a lot of times you think of music, but worship is anything you do for God. I think
in-
service is anything you do for others
Yes.
for the glory of God.
And same with service. Normally when we think about it, it's just like serving on a Sunday morning at church, and that's what it is, service for us. But it is so broad and so so much more than that. And again, we want to bring that into play. We want to help people get past that idea that service is just serving on a Sunday morning at church. What are some ways that you normally serve in your day-to-day?
Well, I could tell you how I prepare for service. All of the spiritual disciplines kind of go to work together,
Yeah.
right? So if I'm not really close with God on any given day, then like if I'm not actively trying to pursue him, then I have a hard time serving him because things turn to be just about me,
Yeah.
right? So I guess to get myself ready to serve God, I have to humble myself before him every day, every second of every day, and say, my life is yours. Use me as you'd like.
Yeah.
So it starts off with that mindset of just giving your all to God and letting him take over your life. Service just comes right after that. Real easy.
Honestly, service is something that we do and that we were built for. And I just want to read Mark chapter 10. So I can't find the specific verse. I have it written down, but like for some reason I didn't write down the verse. I just wrote Mark chapter 10.
Why don't you read all of Mark chapter 10, and then when you find the verse, read it in your head, though. Figure it out.
We'll take this time, and I would like to take this time to bring attention to something that doesn't usually get attention. Something that we use in our everyday life. But maybe it doesn't get the love that it deserves. And I think it deserves a whole lot more love. And
I just wanted to bring this to your attention. And I can't think of anything. I was hoping to find something along the way, but it didn't come to me.
That is interesting. But let me read what I have. So the Son of Man did not come to be served, but to serve, and to give his life as a ransom for many. Like, we were built to serve. Jesus came to serve. This is talking about Jesus coming to serve us and not to be served. If we want to be like Jesus, that's our goal, right? You would agree with that, right?
Mm-hmm.
We are here to serve people. We're here to serve for God, to be able to fulfill his mission. I want to emphasize this because I feel like sometimes we forget that. Sometimes we forget that we're here to serve, and we fall into the routine of just going day to day and going to church on Sundays, and we forget the importance of service.
The biggest part of why we serve is because Jesus did it. And if God himself was on this earth and served other people,
Yeah.
we're not better than God,
No.
right? We're not higher than him. So we're right there with him, right? And the service aspect goes towards people,
Yeah.
right? Toward building his kingdom and his church. That is the essence of service. And why we serve is to give God the glory and to show God's glory to people and his love to people.
Yes. And I want to quote my pastor. I know this. I want to quote my pastor in Guatemala.
Mm-hmm.
He's been saying for a long time, the most important thing after God is people. To build each other up with service is a huge key to being closer with God. I feel like acts of service is something that brings people closer and brings people closer to God. Would you agree with that?
Definitely. It builds community, and specifically if people see you serving all the time, they'll see that you are selfless, and they know that you are someone that they can approach
Yes.
and probably won't get turned away, right? They'll probably be treated a lot better than someone who's all about themselves. And people want to be like that. People want to be selfless, but it's hard because
Yeah.
we're selfish, prideful, arrogant. That's who people are. So when people see the love of Christ in you and that not only willingness to serve, but like we want to serve.
Yeah.
When people see that mindset, it's like, whoa, how do you have that? I want that. I need that in my life.
And honestly, serving just brings a huge, huge smile in people.
Mm-hmm.
I know part of it is why I love serving is not. This is not the main reason I do it, but just seeing a smile on another person, somebody else smile because I'm serving, it just fills my heart. It just fills my heart because it shows that I'm doing the right thing and I'm sharing God's love with somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like that is a huge part of service, just being able to show God's love through our actions.
Yeah. People will see God in you. They will know you are Christians by your love.
Yes.
And what better way to show your love through service? Now, we've talked a lot about kind of what it is and why we do it, but let's get down to the more nitty-gritty, the more practical. How do we serve? There's very obvious options of your local church, your community. Hopefully, you've got a lot of ministries within your church. Maybe you've got a youth ministry or a music ministry or a tech ministry. That is a super easy way to get connected to your own church, but also to serve and to learn more about who God is through serving Him and serving people. But there's a lot more to service than just specifically inside your own church.
Yeah.
I mean, there's like the bigger ones, or we say they're the bigger ones, but it doesn't really matter. If you have like a missions trip, right, either halfway across the world or maybe to your local community, right, where it's that organized, intentional serving, whether it's, helping to build a church overseas or helping to clean out part of your community, whatever that is, and doing that with the love of Christ, meaning the people that you serve, getting to know them, letting them know why you're doing that, and creating long-lasting relationships. Creating those long-lasting relationships
Yeah.
that will do more than you could ever know. Because if you go somewhere, doesn't matter where it is, somewhere in your local community or halfway across the world, and you do great works, but you don't do it with love,
Mm-hmm.
and you don't do it with care for the people that are there, no one cares.
And having that love involved in your service is so important. It's a key factor of it. And that's what people are going to notice. People notice if you're serving out of genuine love and being genuine about it, or if you're just being fake and just serving because either somebody forced you to, it may be a parent, maybe just pure pressure of like serving at church. People are going to notice. People are going to notice and quickly be like, that person is not serving for the right reason. And that's why love is such an important factor into service, because it's going to make it a genuine act of service rather than just doing it for the sake of doing it or doing it because it's going to make you look good.
Mm-hmm. And the key again there is creating those long-lasting relationships.
Yes.
And another way that we can serve practically is hospitality.
Yeah.
That is so underrated in especially our culture today. But inviting somebody into your own home, serving them food, and just getting to know each other over the dinner table is so incredibly valuable and crucial,
Yes.
especially in a day and age where we think that talking over the phone is, enough of.
And honestly, we do have a friend that is really good at this.
Yeah.
She is awesome at this.
Yeah.
I haven't seen her ever say no to be able to have somebody at her house
Mm-hmm.
and be like, here's food.
Yeah.
The door is open.
Yeah.
And I can see God's love in her life. And
Mhm.
just her doing it out of pure intentions. It is so amazing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it needs to be.
Yeah. Yeah. You have to, one, be willing to open up your home, but two, to do it right. Because even if you feed people and let them into your home, if you're doing it, just while grumbling or
Yeah.
just kind of waiting for them to
If
leave.
you're doing it out of a burden rather than just doing
Yeah,
it out
exactly.
of pure intentions.
Exactly. Yeah. And that people can tell, and it is so amazing when someone invites you into their own
Yeah.
home. And
It's really rewarding.
it is. It is. And that is also a requirement of being an elder, is you have to be hospitable. Because how can you have a leader of the church that isn't willing to open up their home?
Yeah.
So when we talk about service, being hospitable is, in my opinion, on the top of the list. That is such a great way.
Yeah.
Whether it's just to get to know, maybe there's somebody new to your community, to your town, whatever. Getting to know them, making them feel welcome, that's great. Maybe someone needs a place to stay for a night or two or 80, whatever. Allowing them to stay, huge, right?
Yeah.
Having Bible studies or that intentional time of fellowship at your own house is
Yeah.
amazing.
Honestly, also being able to just give your time. Because that's something that I found out that on today's day and age, time is something that there's a lack of time.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself just looking where I can cut some time to be able to fit stuff in, and just being able to host in your house a Bible study, being able to host people and go out of your way to give your time. It's so difficult in today's day that when you find somebody doing it, it's just, it makes it 10 times better.
Yeah.
And just giving your time to somebody, it can genuinely show the love of Christ.
Mm-hmm.
Just being able to set a set time for somebody, it goes a long way.
It does. It does. And another important thing to note is we've talked about a few different ways that you can serve. Everybody has gifts,
Yes.
and everybody needs to use them. There are people that are not good with working with kids, or not good at, outdoors work or handyman stuff. There are people that are not musically inclined. If God hasn't gifted you with that, you shouldn't feel burdened to serve in that way.
No.
But when you use your gifts that God has given you, that fills me up, right? That allows me to want to do it even more,
Yeah.
because I'm using my gifts, right? Like playing drums or playing piano on a Sunday morning. That's not a chore for me.
No.
That's awesome. That's my service. I don't mind going to rehearsal for an hour ish every week and then doing the same thing on Sunday. That's not a chore for me. That's the way that I help serve the church, and it fills me up so much, and I know that that is something that God has called me to do, because it's service, but it's done for God, and it fills my cup up.
Yeah, and honestly, that's how it should be. It should be something that you're passionate about. It should be something that you enjoy doing. Service doesn't have to be a burden. It doesn't have to be a chore. Service is something that it is born out of your heart and out of love, but it's something that you enjoy doing. Like, I enjoy so much serving with the youth. Like, this past year serving at youth group has been one of the most rewarding things that I've had in years. And I've never enjoyed a group of teens so much and enjoy serving and being there for them so much as I've done in this past year. And it's honestly so rewarding to see them grow and to see them follow God in a deeper level, because you were there to, like, give a Sunday afternoon, to give time for them to be able to learn more about God and grow closer to them. It is so rewarding, and I'm so happy that I'm able to be a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what service should be.
Yeah. Now, if we look at the opposite, because sometimes it's easier to figure out what you should do by figuring out what you shouldn't do and doing the opposite.
Yeah.
So when I think of the opposite of serving with a glad heart and doing it because you want to serve God as opposed to you have to serve God, the opposite of that is legalism, right? If you are serving God because you know you have to, then you're not serving God.
Yeah.
Right? The whole gospel says that Jesus came down, he lived a perfect life. He died for your sins, including the ones that you will do.
Yeah.
He died knowing every sin that you're going to do. So he took away all your guilt, all your shame, everything. You're free from that. So now you get to show that to the rest of the world. So if you are grumbling as you're doing whatever it is that you call service, you got to take a step back and say, why am I doing it?
Yeah.
Am I doing it so that other people can see me doing it so I feel better about myself? Or am I doing it because this glorifies God and it helps further his kingdom in whatever aspect? We had a men's dinner, and we were talking about legalism.
Yeah.
And we had a really, really good conversation. And a few people were just sharing their experiences with legalism. And, for example, just the rules that the church had, that specific church had, so that you wouldn't break the real rules, if you will. Kind of like what the Pharisees did back in the Old and part of the New Testament. And that's just a form of legalism, because if you start putting all of these extra rules so that you don't, because you're so afraid of breaking, some of God's rules, sometimes that does help, taking away the stumbling blocks so you don't even go close. But sometimes what that does is that puts God into a box, and you try to do enough yourself so that maybe God will let you into heaven, right?
Yeah.
And service falls into that, right? You feel like, oh, okay, I should probably serve in the church so that, I can get into heaven, or maybe God will love me more, right? There is nothing you can do to make God love you more. And there's nothing you can do to make God love you less, which is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So when you're evaluating yourself, even if you're doing good things, if you're not doing it for the right reasons, you got to reevaluate.
Sometimes we need to take a step back and really think about what we're doing and why we're doing it.
Yeah.
And it's so important. I love this phrase so much. This is a quote from, I forget his name, but it's the designer of Fear of God. Do you know? It's a designer brand, but he goes and says, when you know the why you're doing what you're doing, the results don't matter. When you know the reason and the purpose of why you do what you do, the results don't matter. And I feel like that is just service at its finest. Like, it doesn't matter the results. It just matters the reason why you're doing it. If you have your mindset is on the right path, it really doesn't matter what other people say or think. It matters that you're doing it for the right reason.
Yeah. It doesn't matter how many people you have in your congregation.
No.
It doesn't matter how many people you can bring into your youth group, or how many people show up to your potlucks or anything like that. If you're bringing a whole bunch of people into church, but those people aren't doing anything, there's no point.
God is not, I just want to say, God is not going to be more present in a meeting where, like, there's 50 people rather than a meeting that there's 2.
Yeah.
God is going to be the same in those 2 scenarios.
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't matter how many people you bring. It matters the reason that you're bringing people to closer to God.
Yeah.
And that is a huge act of service.
Definitely. So when we talk about doing these things with the right attitude, with the right mindset, for the right reasons, what does that look like in your day-to-day life or your weekly life?
So honestly, for me, it's more of like having to step back and think, am I glorifying God with this, or am I glorifying myself? That is a huge way of finding out if I'm really doing something for an act of service, or am I just doing it for making myself look better. And having that moment to think about it really before acting, it helps a lot. It sometimes that line is really blurry, and it's hard to decipher
Yeah.
if I'm doing it for the right reasons. But having that moment to really analyze what you're doing, and analyze but also pray about it, it's a huge key. I try to pray every single time that I'm about to do something for God. And it's like, God, please let it be you through me. Let me be a tool. Let me be a channel for you to show in what I'm about to do. Let it be you, not me.
Mm-hmm.
I want to be able to show you your love. And even if I'm speaking or saying something, let you speak through me. Use the words that you need to, but let it be you, not me.
Mm-hmm.
And that prayer just helps me go in it with the right mindset. What about you?
I mean, what you said is hugely important. For me, I'm a very routine type person.
Yeah,
I'm a creature of habit.
I've noticed that.
Yeah. I do the same. I go to like the same 2 or 3 restaurants every time. So it's just what I do. But also, when it comes to service, I do the same things over and over and over, which isn't necessarily a bad thing. But when your routine becomes like, oh, okay, I have to go to rehearsal, or okay, all right, now it's time for Bible study, or now it's time for youth group, or okay, now we got to set the chairs up. It's so easy just to kind of do it and just to get it done. Like prayer, okay, got to do it. All right, check it off the box. Read my Bible. Okay, cool. Check it off the box. It's cool to kind of take a step back and ask, why am I doing this? Why am I setting up the chairs right now? Why am I playing the drums right now? Why am I sitting in a youth group meeting? Why am I, whatever it is? Like, why? How is this glorifying God? Which goes back to exactly what you said. In every single thing that you do. And it's not, I'm not thinking about this every single time because I'm not a perfect human being. But when I look back and I say, oh, why was I doing all of those things?
Yeah.
Most of the time it's not for a bad reason, but sometimes it's for no reason at all. Sometimes it's like, okay, yeah, I play drums because I said I would. And I'm like 6 years into playing drums, and it's just, okay, I know my Thursday nights are rehearsal.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's, okay, yeah, got to go to rehearsal. Sometimes it's, yes, I get to go to rehearsal. And sometimes it's, man, I am so blessed to be able to do this, to use something that I love to do so much with people that love the same type of thing and do it for God.
And honestly, I just want to emphasize, we're not trying to make people feel shame about themselves if they haven't really thought about service on the right, like doing it with the right reasons and the right intentions. This is not what we're trying to do. We're just trying to like shed a light on this and be able to help you and guide you to that, to be able to like do service for the right reason. Like, have the right mentality and your heart to be in the right place when you're embarking in acts of service.
Now, with that, let's say that you find yourself doing something for the wrong reason or for no reason at all. How do you change that mindset?
Oh, that's a hard one.
Mm-hmm.
That is a hard one.
I think the hardest part is figuring out.
I was about to say that is really hard because most of the times we don't even notice that we're doing it for the wrong reason.
Yeah.
I don't know. Part of it is just, it depends on your relationship with God and how deep your relationship with Him is. Because every now and then I'll have those moments where it's like, and it's happened when we have to set up the chairs after we do something at church.
The chair setup is a is a very frequent example.
Yeah, it's like I gotta set up chairs again. I don't want to do this. Should I just like slip through the back door and just like dip?
Yeah.
And when I have those moments, I just hear God's voice, and it's like, do this for me. And it's just those moments I realize I'm like, I'm doing it again.
Yeah.
I'm starting to have a mindset of this is a burden rather than I have the honor to be able to serve God with this.
Yeah. And with that, God's not going to shame you either.
No.
Because, again, He took away all your guilt and all of your shame.
He's doing it out of love.
Exactly.
Rather than doing it out of, like, wow.
Yeah.
You're messing up again.
When, there's a lot of talk about discipline in the Bible and how God is like a really good father who disciplines His children and brings them up in a good way. And no one likes it when they're being disciplined.
No.
Right? No one.
It's awful.
Yeah. But you come out of it so much better. So when or if you've got those thoughts in the back of your mind that's just like guilt and shame of like, oh, I'm not good enough, I'm not doing this for the right reason, da 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 da. That's not God. That's not God. So when I find myself in those situations, I think about, what does God actually say about this? Like, what is God personally trying to tell me? What has he already said to me through his word and through his actions? If he was willing to die on the cross, knowing everything that I've done, today isn't going to change his mind.
Yeah.
Right? No matter, like, he's not going to look at me and say, oh, okay, well, you did that. Or I just, I know what you're thinking right now, and that's it.
And
right.
I want to be honest with you. I want to bring this up. This is an example of God's love just showing. On the men's dinner, when we were setting up the chairs, I don't know if you noticed, there was a guy, I didn't have the time to catch up his name, and I don't know what his condition is, but he is on a wheelchair. It's one of those wheelchairs that have a motor, because I think he had a condition where he doesn't have that much mobility.
Mm-hmm.
And just seeing him setting up chairs, it broke my heart. It just being able to see him set up chairs, it was awesome.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause he could have literally just step aside. Nobody would have said anything.
Yeah.
But he was there until the end setting up chairs. And that just hit me. It's like, wow, why am I not going to set up chairs and show God's love through this?
Yeah.
If
Yeah.
he is showing God's love through this, there's no way nobody shouldn't.
Yeah. Yeah. If we were to summarize everything we're talking about,
Yeah.
love.
Yeah.
Right? It's to show God's love. It's to learn what it's like to love others through the way God loved us. And it's to create those relationships with people because of our shared love with Christ and our shared love in Christ.
Yes. Honestly, I feel like that's a great way to end this.
Yeah.
Guys, love each other. Do service out of love to be able to show people God's love so that people can love God.
Love, love, love.
Yes. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of the podcast, Followers by Design.
That's our name.
Thank you. Michael.
Danny.
This is the time in the video part of the podcast where we are on the top left corner.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. We made it. We made it. And you know what happens when we're in the top left corner, Danny?
You have a fun fact?
I have a fun fact.
Oh, you do?
Yes. It's top left corner time.
Somebody applaud Michael.
Now, I'm hoping I didn't already share this fact.
You've only shared one fact, so.
What? No, I've had more than one fact.
No, let's be honest. You've only shared one fact.
No. I did one with my dad.
Yeah.
I did one with Alejo. I did one before that, I think, and probably one before that.
No, you tried to do one before that and one before that.
Hold up.
You did
Okay,
that
I
one
talked
with your
about
dad.
I talked about the butterfly. I talked about the Concorde. I shared a fun fact that there are more airplanes in the sea than there are boats in the sky. Something to think about.
No, you didn't.
What?
You haven't shared that one.
Yo, you're not going to believe it. No, I'm pretty sure I shared that one.
Nope.
All right, get in the comments. Because I'm pretty sure I shared this one. But if not, think about it. There's more airplanes in the sea than there are boats in the sky.
Facts.
Yeah. Yeah. You got some cool stuff on. What you wearing?
I do. I'm wearing the polo for the podcast. We have our merch.
Yeah,
we
buddy.
have polos. Honestly, these are super comfortable.
Mm-hmm.
They're athletic material,
Mhm.
and honestly, the hat as well.
It's a nice mesh.
It's a flex fit,
Mhm.
and it feels so comfortable.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's an awesome hat.
Yeah, buddy. And you got stickers on your water bottle, don't you?
I do.
Yeah.
Please go buy our merch.
That's one way that you can help support us.
Yes.
That way we can buy another microphone or another set of headphones so we can have 2 guests at a time and
Yes.
another camera so we can have a better visual experience.
And honestly, your support means a lot to us
It does.
because it helps us keep doing this for you guys,
Mm-hmm.
and it helps us just get farther ahead with this.
Yeah. Yeah. And so we got all this stuff. Shout out to Fox Tree Designs. They have been awesome. They helped us set up all of this merch shop.
Go check them out as well.
Go check them out. They do cool stuff.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
That's all I got.
Yeah. All right. Tell you what. I'm going to tell another fun fact
Please do.
just in case
Please
the first fun fact was already in a previous video.
Please do.
Right on. So I don't know if we were in the middle of the podcast when we were talking about the bees in the wall, or if that's just going to be a fun behind the scenes short. But bees, like honeybees, they are able to withstand slightly higher temperatures than hornets. Now, hornets like to come into beehives and mess around with their stuff. Switch the drawers in the dresser.
We don't like that.
No, we don't like that.
We don't
No,
rock with
just
that.
kind of no, just like rearranging the room in an unpleasant way.
Yeah.
So what the honeybees will do is they will swarm the hornet, right? Make a huge bee ball around the hornet and start flapping their wings really fast, and it will heat up the hornet, and it will kill the hornet because of how hot it is. But the bees are barely able to withstand it. In fact, it's quite nice. It's like a sauna for them, except for it's a sauna powered by their own wings.
That is interesting. I didn't know that.
Fun facts with Michael. Fun facts with Michael.
Great.
Yeah. Maybe I'll start a book with all the fun facts that I share.
That'll be a short book.
Well, right now it's a short book, but it's gonna get bigger.
Roll the credits.
Roll credit. That's all I got.
Roll credits.
Roll credits.
Thank you guys. Tune in
Toodles.
for our next one.